Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a Father's Day edition of Cup of Ray from down. I'm down here at John's Pass, which where else do you want to be on June 20th, the third Sunday of June each and every year? Of course, this is the day we celebrate Father's Day. I want to thank the great staff here at the Friendly Fisherman. They let me set up out here. I got a great view. Walking over from the surf shop right over here just across the way. Where, by the way, if you're out here enjoying a Father's Day with your family, anyone out here enjoying the beach in Johns Pass out here in Madeira Beach, stop by the surf shop, get all your surf and your beach needs, and then come on over here to the Friendly Fisherman and enjoy some of the best seafood, some of the greatest views. You see out here, I got boats passing in back of me. It was fantastic. I was walking out here to start. Sorry for the late start, but families were on the boardwalk walking along, the fathers and their families, and family of dolphins swam through the pass here, and they all went crazy. And you can tell for some of them, it's their first time ever seeing maybe dolphins in the wild swimming through the pass. Maybe they've seen them at SeaWorld, been to an aquarium, but getting them in live and here at John's Pass and enjoying it, part of that, what makes Father's Day fantastic. And of course, you all know the history of me and the beach, having grown up, originally moved down from Staten Island, New York, living in Reddington Shores when we first moved down here. You know, we're talking about lots of stuff today. What I want to ask you guys and girls is, what's your favorite Father's Day memory? Do you have something you want to share, something you came through? I'll give you an example. For me, it was when I was 12 years old playing for the Seminole Warhawks football. Of course, there's so many great memories with me and my dad. But first year, it was 8-man football. We were a team. We were down to 7 guys. We were playing the first play. I was playing on the Rams, playing quarterback. We only had 7 guys going against the Steelers. They were the best team in the league, stacked. Yeah, Bob Hubbard, I said stacked. Keith Larson. And we didn't have you got 7 people. I got Bill Campor's my big receiver, and you got so what are you going to, what position in 7-man football, what position are you going to let go? We let go of the right guard. So I'm basically playing literally an offensive line with a gap at right guard. Of course, the Steelers counter put their best player in there. Bob Hubbard comes in, hike the ball, I take it back. He comes right through the hole. And imagine a chunky 12-year-old Ray moves out of the way to the right, dodges him, somehow gets open down the sideline, runs 55-plus yards into the end zone, and I'm running down the sideline. I look over, and there's my dad, and he's running down the sidelines a la John Gruden in Super Bowl 37 or Sean McVay going into the tunnel to high-five Deshaun Jackson. But my dad's running with me going crazy, and I could just see the excitement on his face. I could see, because he was a very accomplished tailback playing at New Dorp High School, was actually offered a scholarship to go to Penn State, but instead served the military in Vietnam as a gunner on a naval ship, or on a Navy ship over there. Never to go back and play, but loved football his entire life. And the Buccaneers was what we always had. Every conversation, it was funny because it was like our thing. I'd call my dad, whether it was a day, a week, a month, call him. And the first thing would be, hey, Dad, how you doing? How about those Bucs in the offseason? They just drafted Trent Dilfer, Testaverde. How are they doing? Super Bowl 37. Always started off with the Bucs. And for us with the Bucs, Buccaneer fans, we've always had, think about it, going back to the original team. You had John McKay. He had one son playing wide receiver. He had a 16-year-old son, and Rich McKay, who was a ball boy. Of course, Rich McKay would go on to law school, become a lawyer, but then come back and be a general manager of this team. And one of the highlights we see going throughout all the time, of course, Tony Dungy, all-pro dad to this day, Hall of Fame coach, and what he's doing. And then you go and you look at what Jason Light does. And, of course, the thing a few years back was that after every victory, he would go home with his family. Because, that's one of the things for athletes or people that work in athletics. Or it's a 24/7, especially these days. And he would go home and do the cannonball with the kids. And that was the thing to make the splash play, literally. And for me now, it's Tom Brady and Tom Brady Sr. And you know the relationship Tom has. Tom Brady Sr., if you watched Man in the Arena last episode 10, talks about how he would go to work at 5:30 in the morning just to get off at 3:30 so he could be there for his daughters and his son, Tom, so he could watch them play. And he says, because if the kids were on the field, me and the missus decided we were going to be on the field, always there for him. And Tom chokes up, and so does Tom Brady Sr., choking up, talking about it in episode 10. Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr., Michael Jordan and what it meant for his father to celebrate with him, all of those things. But what I'm asking of you guys and girls today is share that special memory you have, that shared motion. Maybe it was a victory, maybe it was a championship, maybe it was something you were accomplishing. As I'm driving over here, I'm passing all the Little League baseball fields in Seminole here and in Madeira Beach over at the Remember Our Children Park, and coaching myself, the baseball and softball teams. But the memories that are made with the coaches and or the families that are going out there, and what it means to have your father and a father figure supporting you, teaching you, showing you the right way to do it. And then that's one of the reasons why I think so many of us love sports to today, because we have that tie back, that original tie-in, that beautiful love between sport and a father and a son, or a father and a daughter. And of course, last month we talked about between a mother and a son, and a mother and a daughter. Also, if you don't want to share a memory, share maybe if going into, I'm going to talk about a couple of names on here. Father, son, throughout history in sports. Maybe something that really made you just get the good feels. It's a special Sunday morning cup of Ray from down here again at the Friendly Fisherman at John's Pass. Third Sunday of every June, we celebrate this. Let's celebrate it together. It's a cup of Ray. I'll see you on the other side. Hey everybody, welcome back to a special cup of Ray. I know the lighting is going to get a little flushed. Got it rising in the east. Of course, it's setting in the west. I'm down here again out by the Friendly Fisherman out here at John's Pass, just celebrating Father's Day together. Going to go home and celebrate with the kids. Got some special things lined up, just like I'm sure you all do out there. Today we're sharing Father's Day memories, sports memories, really anything for a cup of Ray on a Sunday morning. But again, happy Father's Day. And my first comment in here, I love it. Harry, my great neighbor and a great dad. Happy Father's Day, Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay, Tampa Bay Ray, exclamation point. Harry, happy Father's Day to you, brother. Of course, I already saw you this morning, but still throwing them vibes out there. And of course, Christopher Cole wouldn't be a cup of Ray on us. And I'm going to be sweating profusely, so that's going to end up being the joke. Hopefully this goes viral just because I'll be like that new right guard commercial with the Dolph Lundgren character. I don't know if I can say that with copyright issues. Christopher Cole says, happy Father's Day to you and everyone. Christopher, appreciate it so much. Ben Parrish also says, Ben Parrish up in here, happy Father's Day, Ray, and all Buck fans' dads. And, I love that. I started it out talking about that. So I'm doing the research. I'm looking at some things for today because it's pretty easy when we're talking about Father's Day because we've all got those memories, that father figure, someone who meant so much that we celebrate now today. And Ben Parrish says Edelman. I'm talking about Coach Julian Edelman. Ben, unless there's some news I haven't heard or something breaking, which as Bucs fans this entire offseason, we've kind of learned that could come at any time, especially on a Sunday when Tom announces he's coming back for season 3 with the Buccaneers. But Julian actually still throws it out there, still playing a social media game, still says staying in shape, even though that knee is pretty much, he's done so much to it. But that kid is such a gamer. We've all seen 100% Edelman. But then he says, I'm still in shape, and we all like to pose that thought, even with a Bucs stacked Buccaneers team with a Chris Godwin hopefully getting back ASAP, and a Mike Evans, and we bring in Russell Gage, and you got Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, and such, and even Darden, and then, even some rookies we're looking at. But he actually finishes it with, but I think I'll always be a Patriot for life. And I think that as much means to the fact that he will be is that I think he realizes, even though I think you'd have to be silly not to think a guy like Julian Edelman could Gronk retires for a year, comes in, different situation, but couldn't contribute to the Buccaneers. But I definitely don't think that I see him. But then about the time I usually say that, it's about the time these players show up. Let's see. Alex Humber. Alec, thanks, brother. So this is the Bucs version of Crocodile Hunter. You like the hat? I figured, if I'm going to be sweating, I'm going to wear as much as I can. This is the old beach style hat. Uncle Sonny. We always used to be down here, of course, every summer from Memorial to Labor Day. We'd be out at the Island House motel. We'd have 3 or 4 rooms, family, and it was the hats and, of course, the older statesmen and women, if you will, were playing poker and having a great time. Grandpa would always just rent the place out and let us go for 3 months and leave us. These were the hats you had to wear, and of course now I'm keeping it safe these days, trying to keep it off this big crown of mine. Oh, Pamela. Hey, thanks, Pamela, of course, sister to Teresa. We saw on Friday night. Happy Father's Day, Pamela. on. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And we have another comment in here. Carrie, Carrie, haven't seen you in a minute. Good to see you in here on a Sunday. Happy Father's Day to team and fan dads. 100%. I'll just jump right into it because, I can wax on all kinds of things. But I already talked at the top of this because it's such a big thing with the success that Tom Brady's had and having that support. And, of course, Tom Brady Sr., he only flies to one game in 2020. And that was, look at the sweat coming off. That was the Saints game where the Bucs at home ended up losing 38-3. And what a terrible game. Bucs hadn't got that second win. And Senior actually makes the joke that, wow, what a game to fly across the country for. And, of course, we know that early on, Tom Brady Sr., he had the COVID. And, of course, Tom was here, but still so concerned as he is, as a great father that he is himself. And, of course, he leaned on the family to take care of their patriarch of the family, Tom Brady Sr., and he recovers from COVID after an 18-day stay in a hospital. Thankfully, as he says, there on the Man in the Arena, he did not have to go on the ventilator. And I think we're all having recently just had that full case of COVID myself, recovered a couple weeks ago. And it was the full McGill right there. And I felt all the effects of it. And I'll tell you what, just love the story that he's able to get to that one game, but the commitment and coming back. But the show starts off with Tom and his father both losing it. Emotionally, just like, getting choked up. And who doesn't get choked up when we think about our dads and our father figures, which literally is the reason why they call it father figure. It doesn't necessarily have to be your biological dad. So many great men I've had in my life that have provided good examples on how to be a man and how to be a father. But they get choked up. And then, I started doing a little more research, and it takes me back to the Super Bowl 51, 2017, when Tom Brady's at the media day, and he's asked by that 7-year-old young man, who's your hero? And, of course, Tom, as I've done here on Cup of Ray, he starts to answer it, loses his composure just a wee bit there's that sweat, loses his composure just a wee bit, gets it back and says, of course, it's my father. And who didn't get choked up when we saw that? And I don't think you have to be a father. You just have to have had a father or know someone who's a great father and had that father figure in your life to realize the importance of that. And so it kind of took me to the whole narrative as to the importance of fathers and in our sports as we grow up. Let me go ahead and get on to the next comment here. Working the mouse, but it's starting to get a little sweaty here. Ben Parrish says, I seen a post saying Ravens are looking at Scotty Miller, said he might be a good fit. Scotty was kind of a left out guy last year, right? Of course, he had the huge catch in the championship game in 2020 there in Green Bay, and we know the skills this kid has and the speed this kid has, but the Bucs have started to get some other speed. But just like you get to sign, and don't think you're going to sign an Ndamukong Suh, and of course JPP, and you draft Logan Hall, and you bring in Akeem Hicks. But always looking for veterans and veteran leadership. But that's the thing that good teams do, right? And of course, the Ravens are an example of a team that goes toward the middle rounds, 4th, 3rd, 5th, get those tight ends, those players. Still having their issues. I know they're going to sign Lamar Jackson, but, they're the ones to put it together. And to get a Scotty Miller, I don't see it on the cheap, but you can get a talented receiver, a veteran like Scotty Miller to come in. Of course, they lose Brown this offseason as the number 1 receiver. Why would that make a great decision? Hate to see Scotty, hate to see anybody go because as Buc fans, we love all of the Buccaneers. But that would make sense, though, right, Ben? Alex says he was at the Bucs-Bills game, too. Of course, that was last season, right, Alex? Right, and that was the overtime victory where Rashard Perriman catches that pass. But I was going back to 2020. Of course, that was when we were still on the travel alert. You couldn't go anywhere, and we were just coming out of lockdown, only your first few months into that entire pandemic. But, yeah, 100% appreciate you, Alex. But I got some notes here. If y'all don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and – excuse me one second. So rude. I'm going to go ahead and do this because, like I said, it is warm out here today. And I'm sure everybody is. I see it's all over the place. Got this heat down in the middle of the entire country. Go ahead and wipe the brow a little bit. Fortunately, I've got these real big eyebrows, and they kind of catch sweat, but still, it's a little warm. I'm trying to keep it professional out here. From the Friendly Fisherman again here at John's Pass. Thanks to the staff here at Friendly Fisherman again over at the Surf Style Surf Shop. Go for all your beach needs. Let's see here. Just wanted to mention this. So I was looking of course, I already talked about, Tom Brady being a father to Ben, Vivi, and Jack, and the story of that. Of course, that was the big thing this offseason, and it's kind of been a big thing the last couple of years is that Tom's going to get to that, and he talks about it, whereas he's 44 versus 25 and how life changes, and that's the overriding theme you see for a Tom Brady, and of course, I'm sure he gets it not only from both of his fantastic parents, but from Tom Brady Sr., wanting to be there for his children. And again, Ben, Vivian, Jack. But talking about other sports things, and I started kind of going out and doing a little research because there's so many great stories that we tie it. And one of the things I always liked, one of the first ones early on, was Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. Of course, they both played overlap for 2 years with the Seattle Mariners, and Ken Griffey, they were the first father-son to play together at a professional sports level, but also at one point hit back-to-back jacks, back-to-back home runs, and what a special thing that was. And we knew of course, Ken Griffey Sr. would play All-Star 3 times, but didn't have a Hall of Fame career like his son Ken Griffey Jr. did, and what a rock star that guy was. Another one that really gets you, and you all are going to remember this. Let me see if I got any more comments, because remember, give me your comments, maybe a sports memory, a father-son, or someone that was that father figure or that dad in your life. And I got a few more stories I can share about my dad. Again, always talk Buccaneer football. One of the ones that got me, I don't see any more comments. Let's go back to the Barcelona Olympics in 1992. And y'all remember? You guys remember? I'll give you a second to comment. Let's see if anybody remembers. It would take too long. I've only got so much battery. But it was Derek and Jim Richmond. Of course, Derek Redmond was a 400-meter Olympic athlete who's running there in the Barcelona Olympics. Pulls up lane with a hamstring. Pulled a terrible hamstring injury, and he falls. But gets up and wants to finish that race and gets up and continues to finish it. And you remember that his father, Jim Redmond, came out and put him over his shoulder and helped him across the finish line. And that's a moment that chokes you up, too. You like that one. And, of course, man, my phone. Who wouldn't forget, of course, the relationship between Brett Favre and his father, Irvin Favre. And, of course, Brett Favre loses his father, and the very next night they're playing in Oakland, and everybody, and of course he says that was a tribute to go pay tribute to his father. Goes out against the Oakland Raiders. They're out in Oakland, throws 399 yards, 4 touchdowns. They beat the Raiders 37-7, or maybe it was 41-7, and going off the field with his beautiful wife who met him out there. And what a story that was, and it's just day after his father passes. And you want to take it to another one? Let's go ahead and talk about Michael Jordan. I'll put my mouse down for a second. Oh, you know what? I got to jump this guy in here because not only was he my best man 22 years ago Friday, as a lot of y'all saw me post, but he's also one of the best dads I know. One of those guys that's always set the example for me. Mr. Phil Koza, happy Father's Day, Ray. Phil, brother, love you and happy Father's Day to you. Thanks for coming in here, taking the time to comment. Share the show, everybody, please, because I always say everyone needs to know someone cares today. Why don't you be the one to let them know? Maybe someone just needs a little bit of levity, a little bit of humor. Maybe I'll throw a dad joke. I'll throw a dad joke in here. That's what I want to ask you. Give me your best dad jokes. Come on, I see you commenting. And you don't have to be a dad to do this. Give me a dad joke, and that literally gives anyone the latitude to share a joke. Tom, I know you're out there watching Tom Brady, the greatest of all time. Give me your dad joke. I'll give you one right here. What is the balloon's least favorite type of music? Pop music. That's terrible, right? I got a zillion of them, don't we all? Of course, I shared one on Friday night's Cup of Ray After Dark from down there in St. Pete at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. What was it? Of course, we know you used to be able to go anywhere and get air in your tires for free. Just about anywhere. You can still go to Wawa today, and if they've got it working, because it's always being so overused. But it used to be part of the service. You get air for free. Of course, these days it costs anywhere between $1 and $2.50. Y'all know why? Inflation. I told you it was a terrible Dad's Day joke. Again, happy Father's Day. Thanks for joining us for a Cup of Ray out here. But, one of the ones that really gets you, and I had to look this up, but, Michael Jordan and his father, James. And we knew about the relationship they had. And, that's one of the things you have about these athletes. Tom's got a large crew. MJ had a large crew. But, superstars like these, they have their crews, they have their friends, they're dependable people, and they need to. But, when they have that relationship with their father, and you have a Tom Brady Sr. there with Tom, or you have a James Jordan with Michael, what that means to them. And, of course, in 93, Michael loses his father, murdered at a rest area in Carolina. I think it was North Carolina. Goes to baseball. The 95 strike takes it back to basketball, and wins the championship that season. And we knew what that meant. We knew the importance of that and what it meant. One of the reasons why, I think the reason why Michael Jordan left basketball was because he'd never played without his father being there, and what James meant to Michael Jordan. And take you back on this memory. Remember, we just had the NBA Finals finish this week. Golden State Warriors, congratulations to that championship. Michael Jordan and the Bulls win that championship in '95, day after Father's Day in June. Of course, that was when that basketball season ended. And you remember how that was, because we knew the story and having lost his father, and you saw the emotion with Michael Jordan after he wins that championship. Love it. And then, you want to talk about, I'll just throw this one in there too, because, I got another comment, so let me jump in here. Hey, I appreciate you, Phil. Oh, here's a dad's joke. So the minute you guys have already saw it in the comments, but the minute I throw it on screen, it kind of, I'm going to go ahead and try to tell it real fast. Depending on Phil Coes and my boy for a dad's joke. Why did the football coach go to the bank to get his quarterback? That was pretty good. And a football tie-in as well with the quarterback, talking about Tom Brady here on a Sunday. Love it, Phil. Anyone else? Oh, and I'm sorry, I missed Alex's comment. Wawa is the GOAT. That almost sounds like a 5-year-old talking, Wawa is the GOAT. Wawa is the GOAT. I like turtles. No, I love it, Alec. Thank you, brother. You know what? You want to talk about a good one for me? Let's go back to, and let me get this, make sure I got this right, because this was a good one. Let's go back to Super Bowl in 2013, Super Bowl 47, right? Was it 47? Right, 55, 7 years before the Bucs go in 2020. The Harbaugh or the Harbaugh Bowl. Of course, you had John Harbaugh, the coach of the Ravens, versus Jim Harbaugh, who was at the time the coach of the Niners. And of course, you saw their father. You saw their father there, so proud of, I think it's Jack Harbaugh, but so proud of his sons. And what did that mean for a father to see one each? And of course, he was a coach himself, coached at Stanford, was a player himself in college. But and of course, you talk about Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh, and you talk about how they look. The same with Tom and his father, Tom Brady Sr. You see the biological tie-in because of the looks, good-looking guys, and especially talking about the Harbaughs. Jim and John both look so much like their father, and he was able to enjoy that Super Bowl 47, as both of his sons were coaching those teams. There's some things we just probably will never see again. I mean, maybe unless Peyton and Eli go into coaching and then Archie gets to. Of course, we've already had the pleasure of seeing both of those guys play. But, some of these things that, come around, and that's why I wanted to kind of recognize here as we celebrate Father's Day 2022. I think I might have said 2020 in the opening. Again, I don't know if you can tell how sweaty I am, but hey, that's Florida for you. Sweating's good. Open the pores, get all the poisons out. Lord knows, I had a couple of poisons last night with those high lives. But some of the things that we're talking about never seeing again. And I'm going to wrap it back just because I don't, until we get some comments in here. And please share stories of that special person in your life. I hope you guys are enjoying the boats and back of me. Here's the thing. If you actually see that pod of dolphins, I think we call it a pod, actually swim by and they come up, you comment, and I go back and I'll see when the comment was stamped, and I'll go back and watch it. And if that dolphin actually shows up, then I'm going to send a Bucs Report shirt out. That's right. I'll send a $20 value, had them made myself, Bucs Report shirt out to you. But you got to actually see the dolphins, and you got to actually bring recognition to it on the background here. And boy, I'm just noticing now, even though I was a bit flushed out earlier, that water's clear. Love this time of year. Haven't even really started to see the storms, and not even getting any afternoon storms. Have, of course, had them over there in eastern Hillsborough across the bay here. Was down in St. Pete yesterday. There was lightning. Of course, there wasn't any lightning showed up last night in Colorado against the Avalanche as they won 72-0. Game 3 coming back here on Monday night. Lightning will host the Avalanche, and like to see the Lightning get back on it as they continue their quest for that third consecutive Stanley Cup. But watching that man in the arena and talking about Tom Brady and Tom Brady Sr. And here's the thing. I didn't know why, so I was finishing up the Mets. I've been watching at home the last couple of nights. I was watching the 86 Mets, and it's, it was 30 for 34. Parker called it. Happened once a time in Brooklyn. And it was about the 86 Mets, of course. I'll share another story with you. You guys remember I've told you I've shared this story before. Family always came down to Port St. Lucie for the Mets training every year. It was 1970. I was just about 6 months. Mom, love you out there. I know you're watching, or if you don't, you'll watch it a little later. Mom was pregnant with my sister, so she was, and my dad and my mom, and there I was in the stroller. And the Mets got done practicing, and my mom and dad got up close. They were, looking. It wasn't like today but they were up in a little line. And Tom Seaver's walking along. Of course, Tom Seaver, the phenomenal pitcher, Mr. Met. Was walking along signing autographs like they do, being cordial. Then he wanted to get away because it was time. So Tom Seaver turns without looking, takes a step back, and knocks my mom over. Now, my mom is 7 months pregnant with my sister. Tom Seaver's like, "Are you okay?" He helps her up. She's fine. Everything was good. And so he wanted to do something, of course. So Tom Seaver picks me up out of the stroller, and I got a picture with me, Tom Seaver, and of course Tug McGraw, father to Tim McGraw, who we've lost a few years back. And just what a phenomenal picture and source of pride. And it ties me back to the Mets. And it's one of the reasons why I was watching the '86 Mets, feeling that Father's Day, knowing that my father's looking down upon, hopefully shining and proud in what we're accomplishing. And what I'm trying to do, continuing to do here, as we talk about here on a couple of Ram Bucks Report. Then I was like, I get done doing that. I'm doing some research. This is this morning about 4:30. For some reason, I want to watch the last episode again, the 10th episode of Men in the Arena. And I'm sorry, guys and girls, I'm not going to ruin anything for you except for a little bit. But at this point, if you haven't seen it, you'll still love it. I definitely suggest you watch it. But let me just see how much battery I have left. Okay, 51%, so we're good. So I load it, and it's funny how the mind works. We have photographic memories. It's just we don't always know exactly how to access or re-access those files. And I loaded it, and it starts right off. It's called The Wheel, the 10th episode, which we had to wait to come out. Touches on that Super Bowl 55 2020 Buccaneers team. But it starts right off with Tom Brady Sr. and Tom, the relationship. Of course, they both get choked up. And I'm like, that was it. I didn't remember the reason why I had to watch it. I thought I was just kind of reloading it because I'm like, I just love it. Wanted to watch it. I watched it a couple times a while back. Actually, once, 1.5. And that was the reason why. Because my mind was reminding me, because of Father's Day today. Happy Father's Day again, 2022 here. Third Sunday of June. But I watched it, and it choked me up. Because then I started, again, doing the research. And I remember when Tom was asked that Super Bowl, that question by a 7-year-old kid. What a great question. What a way to get Tom Brady off his game. Of course, we've seen his media game expand, and I say off his game. By no stretch of the imagination did we think he was off his game. In fact, it was a home run. But when that 7-year-old child, that kid, that young boy, that probably going to turn out to be someday a phenomenal reporter or, just an interviewer, and he asks them, who's your hero? And, of course, Tom goes right to his dad, and he starts so that was nice this morning. But, Sean up in here. Man, I haven't seen you in a minute. I love this. I'm seeing my friends I haven't seen in a while. Sean Fletcher in here. Happy Father's Day. Brother, happy Father's Day to you too, Sean. Hope you're doing well. So, anyway, going back to that 2020 season, and I'm like, so Tom's in New England for 20 years under Bill Belichick. I don't think I'm sharing anything new here. I think everybody remembers that. And of course, Tom comes to Tampa Bay, does the scoring of all the places he can go. Tampa Bay comes out on top with the tools, the weapons, the coaching. Loves still to this day Bruce Arians. Loves the fact that he's going to have a great chance to continue and win. Of course, he does win. I think you all have heard by now, Super Bowl 55. But Tom says and we knew this. He had to learn an entirely new offense. Took him until after the bye week in Week 12. They come back against Minnesota and they go undefeated and undefeated in the postseason to win that Lombardi Trophy. Tom talks about the challenge of going for same coach, same system for 20 years. Different system, though, because we remember the Patriots. 1 year they were pass heavy. 1 year they were run heavy. They always switched it up, whether it was Charlie Weiss or Josh McDaniel. But we love that. And, of course, that keeps the defenses on their toes. And it continues to give you that advantage of being a better offensive opponent, scoring points, winning games, and Super Bowl championships. And then I'm like, okay, so he comes here. I'm going to stretch my foot here. So comes here. But now Bruce Arians, of course, moves up to the front office, and Todd Bowles takes his team over, which was the way it was always going to be. It was always going to be a succession plan. And I said all along, I think we knew it, even though I know Byron Leftwich is ready and is going to get his chance to be a head coach, should he so choose to be a coach. Not like when he walks away from Jacksonville Jaguars, probably because he realizes he doesn't want to be part of that situation. And they're getting it together a little bit with Doug Peterson, and Trevor Lawrence is going to have a chance, and Travis Etienne, and some of the things they're doing. But now that Arians moves to the front office, now you got Todd Bowles, a defensive-minded coach, still locking it down with one of the best defenses in the NFL. And I think that kind of we talk about the schedule. And, let's talk about that schedule. Because I got it right here. I always got it here. But, you talk about starting on the road against the Cowboys, that Thursday night or that Sunday night 8:20 game. Then you go to New Orleans, who the Bucs, of course, they beat them in the playoffs in 2020, but Tom is still 0-4 against New Orleans in the regular season. Olave and James Winston coming back, and there's Michael Thomas, and is Kamara going to be himself? Something tells me Dennis Allen and that Saints defense, they've got a good, strong nucleus that's been together for a while. That really helps, and that's why, again, the Buccaneers had a situation that Tom Brady walked into in 2020. Then, of course, the Bucs come home. So they got 2 road games against the boys and the Packers. Then the Bucs come home and they host the Saints. And then they come home and they host the Packers. You got Aaron Rodgers, the 2021 NFL MVP, and the Packers coming in for a Sunday 425 game. And Okay, so that's the first 3 games, and now boom, a week later, you got the Chiefs coming in here. That right there alone is such a competitive, great start. What a great measuring stick. To show you where you are, and Bucs will be 4-0 after that, right? So then week 5, and I'm not putting down the Falcons. Was it going to be Ritter? Is it going to be Mariota? But the Falcons, the Buccaneers, they play the Falcons, and then, of course, the Steelers, Panthers, and then the Ravens. But here's what I want to ask you guys and girls, and I'm going to get to the comments. Misador, brother, good to see you in on a Sunday. Happy Father's Day to you. Misador says, Happy Father's Day, Ray. Me, brother, I love you. I appreciate that. Happy Father's Day. Me also says, Bucs come out the first 4 with a 500 record. I don't want to hear any bitching. Roughest open in the league. 100%, brother. And that's what I'm looking at. And we know that, right? You could talk about strength of schedule. Last year, 10 of the teams were sub 500. Or if you're in the NFC East, you've automatically going to play against teams that, I'm kidding, they're going to look to get stronger. Of course, Sirianni and Philadelphia, and of course the Giants and Dabo, and the Cowboys. And then who's my odd man out? The Giants and Dabo. But Ron Rivera. What a thing this week we're starting to see this, right? You got your Ron Rivera, you got your Lovie Smith, your coaches that are getting fined for the going with the contact in the practice. We've seen this forever in the NFL. Teams are supposed to be non-contact this time of year. These coaches look for these added advantages. They kind of try to pull Belichick. I'm kidding. But getting fined. I think Ron Rivera got fined $50,000, which, of course, pointed out that was the same fine that his defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio, got for some stupid comments he made a while back about, dust-ups and such. But then I think it was Lovie Smith actually got a $100,000 fine. So obviously a disparage or a difference in the type of contact they were having. Oh, as I hear the boats go by. Love it. That's why I came down here to try to bring a little bit of a view. But so I want to ask you guys and girls as I put my mouse down. As much as we want to see the Bucs get off the schneid in a regular season against their divisional opponent, of course, the NFC South, the New Orleans Saints, and that'll go a long way to determining again that we can win the NFC South again in 2022. I think we all agree that we're definitely the favorite team, but it's still a tough schedule, as me points out. But if you had to pick, of course, we played the Saints twice in the regular season, but which is more important to you? And I think I already answered this by saying how they're a divisional opponent. Getting the victory in the regular season against the New Orleans Saints or getting a victory against the Los Angeles Rams? Because I'll tell you what, we lose to them in 2020 at home. We go out last year in the regular season to the first big game at SoFi, the new $5 billion Hollywood Park. The NFL network's there now and all this and that, and they share the facility with the the Los Angeles Chargers. But we go out there to a packed house. The place is crazy. Bucs still have to take care of business, but that was tough. We already knew that was tough, and of course we saw it end up being a tough game. And of course, then the Bucs losing the playoffs in the divisional round to the Rams last season, just to end the 2021 season. And I'm like, of course, I don't want to get 2 losses to the Saints, but as far as that first victory, of course, like I said, we go out to New Orleans in week 2. And then we come back. We don't play the 49ers until into November, and we play them here Sunday 4:25 game. But I'm like, got to get that victory against the Los Angeles Rams, right? Against the Rams, because as much as again I want to see the Bucs have that, I want to see them go 20-0 and Super Bowl 57 out there in Arizona. But man, I want to get that taste off my mouth from last year, and then the losing to the Rams 3 times Tom Brady has since he's become the Buccaneers head quarterback. Love to see the Buccaneers take care of business against the Rams in the regular season, and against the Chiefs, and against the Packers, and against the Steelers, and against the Ravens, and on and on and on. Oh, Teresa, happy Father's Day, Ray. Teresa Baxter from Buckwild joining me on Friday night. My comment girl. Loved having you on here. Nothing better than having Teresa. Not only does she handle the comments and help but pretty much co-produce the show, but buried a lead. She's got some great knowledge, good takes. Had a great time on Friday night. Thanks again, Teresa. Next comment. Beat both in playoffs. Yeah, I tell you what, that's a great point, Teresa, because that would be if you beat both. Of course, the Bucs get the bye. Saints are the wild card that gets lucky in the first week. We beat them in the divisional. Then we beat the Rams in the NFC Championship game. That'll be at Raymond James Stadium because we have a better record than the Rams finished with in 2022. And then go out there to Arizona in the desert. And, of course, we're traveling out to Arizona this year, playing at Arizona. We know we're playing the NFC West. Of course, that's one of the reasons, again, why when we're looking at the schedule, I'm like, going to Candlestick against Tom Brady, and going back to where his father's talking about, where Tom may have developed that love of football, and he's like, because we took him to so many Niners games, and we know that Tom was at that Joe Montana, Dwight Clark hookup in that championship game against the Dallas Cowboys when he was just knee high to a grasshopper. Going out to Candlestick or Levi Stadium, going into Arizona and playing against the Cardinals on Christmas Day, 8 o'clock game, 8:20 game that night. That's kind of a special thing, celebrating Christmas and doing the family thing and presents and eating and loving family. And again, talking about family, happy Father's Day to all our fathers, all our families out there. Everyone needs to know someone cares. Even if you're not able, and I talk to my dad every day almost, but even if you can't reach out to your father, maybe, your father figure's no longer with us, maybe they're just incommunicado, reach out to someone who's set an example, someone who's meant something to you. It goes a long way. Do a brother check, do a brother on brother check. Do a brother on sister check. Everyone needs to know someone cares. Today, you be the one that lets them know. But Christmas game against the Cardinals, and of course playing the Rams here at home, and also playing the what's the fourth team? Cardinals and 49ers and Rams. Oh, and of course, I get confused because I'm actually on all my schedules I make out, I always say it's versus the Seahawks because it is a Buccaneers home game, the game out there in Munich at 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday. And then the Bucs have that later in the season bye week, same a la 2020, which I think is going to really help. I'd love to see a team get that rest toward the end, especially now that it's a 17-game season and not a 16. But we're hosting the Seahawks, but it's a few thousand miles away out there in Munich. But still looking forward to that game. Great schedule. And Teresa's rad. I'd like to see them get the victory against both in the playoffs. Abraham, brother George, good to see you, Abraham George, Vatican Cherry in here. Happy Father's Day, Ray. Looks like you were at the pier. Doc Ford's. Actually, brother, I'm glad you said that, Abraham. Were you the one? No, someone on Friday night's Cup of Ray said, go somewhere there's boats. And, of course, I was down there yesterday at the pier down in St. Petersburg out there, and Doc Ford's walked by. But I'm out here right now. But friendly fisherman, I'm out here at John's Pass, of course, in Madeira Beach, brother. Great staff here. Chris, the general manager at it's a Friendly Fisherman, and again, the great staff over at the Surf Style Surf Shop that let me park over there. The young ladies are so nice. Get all your beach needs and your food needs and your libation with Barry's Lead. One of the best views. The boats are going by, dolphins in the past, the bridge. I was going to try to turn my camera, but I've been blocked by the building here with the bridge going up and down. But yeah, John's Pass, brother. Thanks for coming in here. And there's my lady. Of course, my mom. Love you, Mom. Your sound goes in and out. Oh, okay. Thank you. You sure it's not just your tablet? I apologize, everybody. If it's that bad, we can't watch it. I apologize for that. But anyway, Mom, love you. Happy Father's Day to you, too, as well, my dear. Let me just check. Okay, I am good on battery. So I think I failed to mention one of those. Let me go back and talk about, I talked about Jim, Michael Jordan, John Harbaugh. I talked about the schedule. But, working it back to a couple of things that I haven't had a chance to again because I was sick. Talked about this on Friday night. I had gotten over COVID. Going back a few weeks, I think it was June 9th. So it's actually 11 days today. But looking at some of the quotes, of course, I get them like y'all probably, and you can see them, but I get them in my inbox. Fortunately, love part of the thing about being credentialed and covering your Bucs is that I get all the notes, all the info. I want to thank the staff, the communication staff over at the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Phenomenal staff. Make sure you know everything. Give me all my notes so I can not only continue to cover it, but then write on it. Had a great interview a couple of weeks back talking about Todd Bowles, and I love that Todd Bowles kind of echoes Bruce Arians' sentiment. While other coaches this time of year are going, grind at the grindstone, and there's coaches like, again, Lovie Smith and Ron Rivera, and who's the other one? Not Eberflus with the Chicago Bears, getting fined because they're doing contact when they're not supposed to be yet in the OTAs. Another 5 weeks till they get to camp, and then it's, pretty much everything goes. But Todd Bowles asked him, what are the players supposed to do for the next 6 weeks between the end of the OTAs and then the start of training camp? And he's like, first of all, you don't want to have a recession. You want to know where we left off. We're going to start from there and go forward. Players need to know their positions. A Logan Hall needs to know. You need to have Godecki, the lineman. These players need to have their stuff. And then your veterans and your new veterans need to be ready to go and have the system down. And most importantly, as you're seeing with me out here sweating on a Sunday here on Father's Day from John's Pass, the humidity and the warmth. Of course, it's going to be hot all over in July when teams report, but especially here in Florida. But Todd Bowles also says, spend time with the family. Get your stuff in order. Make sure you do that family time. And yeah, that kind of ties into the Father's Day thing. So that's the why it came up for me. Popped out of those notes as I'm going back and reviewing them. It was the last big presser we had after the end of the OTAs. But he talks about spending that time with family. I do like the fact. Did you guys know that? Of course, where's it at? Logan Henry, the rookie, the defensive lineman. The versatility with this kid, both inside and out, knuckles in the dirt or in stand up, which you put him down with last year's rookie Joe Tryon Shoyenka. And of course, Shaq on the other side, but Vita Vea and Akeem Hicks in the middle, and also Nunez Roches. And then who am I missing here, guys and girls? Barry the lead, Will the Golston. But Logan Henry, part of what they call Sack Avenue, that Houston defensive line out there in Houston. You go and watch the tape on this kid. Not only does he have a motor, but the size. He's 6'6", and the length. And you put that with the length on the Joe Tryon. Again, knuckles in the dirt, or stand up and rushing. Buccaneers in that 3-4 defense. Todd Bowles and the impression he's done since 2019. Love the fact that you have that kid coming in here. Got to have him ready to hit the ground running here in 2022. Let me get my notes back up again. I apologize. Again, happy Father's Day. I'll transition with that. One of the things, again, about that last episode of Manning Arena 1010 is Rob Gronkowski. And again, they're interviewing Rob, and he's talking about the fact that when he retires from New England after that Super Bowl, he had nothing left in the tank as far as he was just injured. And he's had the surgeries, and he had the elbow, and he's got the back. Such a gamer. Greatest of all time, I would post at the tight end position, and I think Tom would back me up on that. AD? But he comes back. Of course, he's had 2 phenomenal years. Huge part of our 2020 Super Bowl championship season. Big part of last year. Of course, he misses 5 games with the punctured lung and the back injury, which is, again, a recurring injury that he had with that back. But I like that Gronk actually says on that Man in the Arena, when Tom reaches out, they get together in New York, right? So Tom's in New York during the pandemic. It's March. He's hasn't even decided to sign with the Bucs yet. And he wants to work out somewhere, so he reaches out to a friend, basketball in the NBA, and he wants to get a facility to work out at. And then he calls Gronk, and he's like, hey, let's throw. Gronk shows up, simpatico, like they never even left each other. And, of course, Tom, and that's when Gronk tells him, look, if you get a situation where you go to, I'm good to go. I can walk in right now and play because it's muscle memory, and it's from 11 years of being the best tight end in all of football. And there's the hookup, the connection between those two cats. Says if you find a place, let me know. Of course, his mother lives two hours away here in Tampa Bay, right here, 2 hours away. And when Tom calls him, and of course, Tom talked about one of the big important things was having his location, of course, to his son Jack, who still lives up there in the Northeast. But then, being able all these things he put into the mix, having an offensive-minded coach or someone in the system that he can come in here and learn. The fact that the Bucs had a stacked team that Jason Light had already been putting together for a few years, but Gronk says at that point that I'm good to go. And, of course, he shows it. Took the entire team a little bit of time to find their swagger in 2020, again, after that bye week, because Tom was learned 20 years, and he says going from the New England offense to the Bucs is like speaking a language your entire life and all of a sudden having to learn a new one. Even if you got Berlitz language or whatever you're using, it's still going to take time, especially to speak it, I don't want to say fluently, but, less of an accent to understand and be able to speak it comfortably. And of course, that's what you saw with your Buccaneers after that bye week in 2020. They started to speak, and Tom started to speak, and all the players started to speak that offense comfortably. But I've wavered on this. I'd like to know what you guys and girls think. Oh my God, right? Ben Parrish, Anthony Nelson, yeah, 100% tall cat there, right there. And there's some other components on a defensive line. Teresa Baxter says players only need to be in excellent shape when they come back. Yeah, and they do, right, Teresa? But of course, back in the day, go back to the 70s and the 80s, players would show up for camp. And then they would have, maybe this is the reason why my body's, they would have time to get in shape. They would have time to work off the beer. They had, at that point, players still had, of course, these days they have multiple jobs because they're working, their brand and this and that. But they were working, you had guys working beer trucks and working places to stay in shape because they weren't getting paid the money they're getting paid these days. But we'll save that for another Sunday Cup of Ray. But they got to be in shape. And it's 24/7. We watch players, but not that I get all my stuff from fictional Hollywood stuff, but that's pretty real, pretty spot on. Looking forward to The Rock, not with the XFL in 2023, although we'll kind of wait to see that because we're always interested. USFL. What was it yesterday? I saw the Bandits quarterback Johnny Dean, first quarterback over 2,000 yards in the XFL this season. Love that, but. The Rock, he plays the voice of Superman's dog in an upcoming movie. And of course, these movies. I got a chance to see Lightyear yesterday. Loved it. Loved the Pixar animation. Of course, you guys know my daughter Kate. Happy Father's Day to me, Kate. From me, I saw your message. I appreciate you, daughter. Honey, I'll talk to you in a little while. Such an animated, such a talented animation artist. Doing the summer intern thing out there in Cincinnati, an animation house. But took the young ones yesterday. Spent great time with them. Went and saw Lightyear. Loved that movie. I'm not going to give you any spoilers. I suggest you see it. Loved it. Yeah, talking about Dwayne Johnson. And Alex says, to answer your question earlier, I'd rather beat the Rams in the playoffs. Alec, I love it. You and Teresa. Ash. Alec was on Friday night, too. Chris Richmond, of course, Johnny Dean. Had a great all-star cast on Friday night. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, dads, it's your day. Share the show. Go back and watch Cup of Ray from Friday night. Forget the opening. I had no connectivity. I think I dropped an F-bomb. Maybe. I know I dropped a D-bomb. But my computer was saying I wasn't live, but I was. And my co-hosts were letting me know that I was. Thank goodness for you guys, because it may have gotten a lot more blue. But we had a great talking about the worst Buccaneers coach of all time. Johnny Dean and I even talked about the Buccaneers' worst free agent signing of all time. And I think we all agree on that one. I'll let it hang out there if anyone wants to comment on that. The Buccaneers' worst free agent signing of all time. There's one name that really jumps to I think it's leaps and bounds above everybody else. But let's see. Let me just check my battery again, guys and girls. I keep putting this mouse down so I can rub. Yeah, here's that battery. Oh, let me run it over here and then run it back to here. Oh, where is that battery at? Oh, there it is. All right, I have 15 minutes left, so please, everybody, share that special story. I still only have one dad joke. Phil Koza, let me go back and throw it on here because I like it. Had a football tie-in. Where are you, Phil? Love it. I'm going to put it back on the screen for those of y'all that may, because people have been in and out of this show. Phil Koza's dad joke. Why did the football coach go to the bank? To get his quarterback. I love it. So if you have a dad joke, special memory of that father here on Father's Day, maybe it's sports related, that's a bonus, but just a memory, share them out here. That's what we're here for. We're just, social media, sharing things as Buck fans, Tampa Bay sports fans. Abraham says, ditto, Alex, but we lost 3 in a row. Let's snap that streak like the Saints. 100%. Let's go undefeated. We talked about this on Friday night. I think we all do. I'll save it for another time. Tom Brady goes 20-0 and wins Super Bowl 57. He's in the Fox booth next year, right? And I love the fact that Tom's in the booth next year. And here's the reason why. We're not going to know how Tom does till he gets there. We know what Tony Romo did. Beats the crud out of Aikman. Of course, Tom gets the big contract from Fox for the 10-year contract. But here's the thing about Tom Brady. Working it back to I started the show off, and I'll kind of get near the end here. I know that, first of all, we know that nobody breaks down film and can analyze a defense or understand offensive philosophies than Tom Brady. If for some reason he doesn't succeed, and I truthfully think he does, it's not going to be for lack of trying. That cat's going to be ready from jump. Sean Payton in the booth this year going to do that. They finally got rid of that thing. The rumors, of course, still swirling. Let me get some sweet tea here for a minute. Excuse me, y'all. Oh, I love it down here. Got the big boat. Wow. Okay. So there's permission to the Coast Guard doing boat checks out here. And they do that out here, right? Make sure you got the proper. We're talking about this with my good friend Mike on Friday. He's works on one of these boats out here going out fishing 5 days a week. Got to have the proper inflatables. Got to have the proper flotation devices, PFDs. Coast Guard are doing an aboard, going on, checking that. Check for that. Of course, I think it's too early in the day to be worrying about people driving out there boating inebriated. And don't do that. Make sure someone else rides. Take your time. You're out there in the water. You had one or two. Get the water. Stay hydrated. Take time. Don't try to do that because it's just as dangerous on the water as it is on the streets. But Coast Guard doing asking for permission to and being granted permission to come aboard so they can check for the proper flotation devices. But where was I with Tom Brady? I was circling it back to I 100%. Maybe I got a comment. Oh, I do have a comment. Oh, Abraham, I'm so glad you said this because this works back to something that I'm going to cover from Friday night. Abraham, Vatican Cherry says, I would still love to see Brady and Creamsicle. And Abraham, I don't know if you saw the show. I don't think you did because normally, although you could have popped in at some later point, but Tom Brady in a great interview on its SI video interview, of course, just like we're doing here with this on. But he's being asked this and that. Tom's given the usual answers, like he did at the end of OTAs, and actually he did the week before that, but then reiterated in OTAs about being 25 versus being 45 and how our priorities in life change. Of course, the kids get older and we get to that place in life. But the guy asks him, just like that 7-year-old kid back in Super Bowl media day with the Patriots in '51. He asks him, he kind of gets him comfortable asking. He says, "Are we going to see you in creamsicles?" And of course, we all wanted to. We know that they couldn't do it. They didn't do it in 2020 because the Buccaneers at that point we were told it was the fact was is they didn't get the NFL, which is stupid NFL, probably because Roger Goodell and the NFL is trying too hard to figure out how to skirt the Daniel Snyder and the Rich Dalrymple or whatever controversies, which you're going to see this week before Congress. Of course, Daniel Snyder's excuse to Congress when they invited him to come speak, which you're kind of surprised. Why is a billionaire going to come speak? I'm not saying why shouldn't they, but I think unless they're of course, if they're the Pergulas looking for a new stadium in Buffalo, you never have a problem getting an owner to speak if there's money involved. But of course, Congress invites Daniel Snyder to come speak about the 10 years ago with the sexual harassment charges against the cheerleaders and such. And his excuse was, again, don't forget now that Roger Goodell has yet to publicly at least state that Daniel Snyder's going back to doing the team, working on the team. Of course, I think none of us were surprised, or none of us were, tricked when they said, well, he's going to step back from day-to-day duties and his wife's going to take it over. But when Congress invites him to go out this week, he says, well, I can't. I have a long-standing team obligation, which, okay, if it's a luncheon or what have you, I'm not saying the guy has to be available to testify before Congress, but he said basically it's a team obligation, as if he's still, running a team, which I think we all know he is. But going back to the reason why with the Buccaneers and creamsicles in 2020, they didn't get the one helmet rule changed to multiple helmets in time. And of course they did, so the Bucs couldn't request it for that season. And of course for last season, it was last season. And now for this season, even though the rule's been requested and the Bucs have already submitted, I'm assuming at this point they've submitted it. The whole world knows that they're looking at getting those creamsicles. Of course, the only player still on his team is Levante David from 2012. They got to wear those creamsicles. But now it's because of the world, everything cost of gas. I'm kidding. They said it was because of the pandemic and the supply chains. They can't get those uniforms made, which I don't know. It's June 20th, Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. I think you could hire a seamstress house or a house. You could get Gucci to make it or somehow use because remember, it's just because it's the creamsicles. I mean, it has to be the actual specific fabric. You can get close to it. But of course, that's the excuse for 2020. But again, Abraham, to answer your question, which I love, by the way, Tom Brady says, I know we're not scheduled to wear them in 2020 this season, but we're scheduled to wear them next season. And I'm not saying that him by answering that he's leading on to something like, see there, Tom's coming back next season. He just said it. But what I'm saying is 14% left. Good. What I'm saying is that I like the fact that he says we are scheduled to win it next season, because that just tells me Tom's not thinking about one season, this season, last season, and then, pulling his chute to the Fox booth or what have you. He's on board fully, which I think at this point, again, as taught to him by his father, Tom Brady Sr., the kind of athlete, the kind of character that he has, he's not just thinking one season. He's not, okay, I'm getting paid. He's not on that one. He's not a lame duck. I don't think anybody would have questioned the fact that Tom Brady never would have been a lame duck. Oh, let me see this. Misador says 7/19/22. Is that when they come back to camp me? Because it's the end of July, I'm assuming. But let me know, brother. But the fact that he answers that question to the SI reporter, we're not scheduled to wear them, but we're scheduled to wear them next season. I just saw a bird fly by. Has anyone seen a dolphin yet? I didn't see any comments. Maybe someone watching the show later will break it down like the Zapruder film, and they'll see that dolphin. But, yeah, talking about Tom, he's in it. He's in it to win it, but he's in all the way in. And when I heard that, I started to realize if Fox is always going to be there, because remember, when he goes to Fox, he's still going to be flying around the country. You got to get into the location. You got to interview both teams, go to the meetings the weekend of, but you got to work on it all week, which Tom can probably do remotely. He'll definitely have more time as he continues to work on that TB12 brand. But it's still going to be, you're leaving on Wednesday or Thursday, you're gone for the entire weekend doing a game, and you fly back. Is it is it transition? Sure, it's not but I don't think Tom's going to stop training. He's going to stay in shape because that's what Tom Brady do. But it's not like he's all of a sudden going to, work from his house at home and have all this time to be with the kids. It's still a commitment. But when you take into effect, I'm not saying Tom returns for his 24th season or his 4th season as Buccaneers quarterback just to wear creamsicles. What I'm saying, though, is that when I heard that, I was like, I started to realize that's a definite possibility. But let's just worry about Super Bowl 57 this season, and let's take it. Oh, of course, me says today is the 19th, Juneteenth. July. Okay, so it's 6/19. Right, because my anniversary, it was Friday, June 17th. Me, thank you. So it's not the 20th. I said that 7 times, so I will have to say 7 Mother May I's after the show. Brother, thank you. So yeah, it's the 19th of June, but it's the 3rd Sunday of June, which is when we celebrate Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there. I hope you found something about this show. Please share the show because it's not like it's dated. It's not like the information's that great, but it's not like it's going to all of a sudden try to mix it. Oh, by the way, the worst free agent signing of all time, I think we all agree, was Alvin Harper. We're talking about the coaching staff, of course. Yeah, John McKay. Of course, John McKay's replaced by Lehman Bennett. Comes from the Falcons, the Blitz Grits that he was, a large portion of what he was solely supposed to be responsible for. It never showed up here. We all talked on Friday night, kind of more of an ownership problem from the top. Of course, you got Ray Perkins follows Lehman Bennett, but then after Ray Perkins Ray Perkins is fired, and Richard Williamson, who had also been at Alabama with Perkins and was a wide receivers coach for the Bucs, takes over. Again, I think it was coming from the top, so I'm not saying Richard Williamson wasn't. I'm not saying any of these guys, they don't get to where they are without being great coaches, but my two were Lehman Bennett, but a lot of people, Greg Schiano, and some of the things. Of course, we saw that stuff go down south pretty quick. But that was something from Friday night. So if you've got a little time later today, and you're having an afternoon libation, or you're relaxing, the family's giving you your space, which hopefully they're not. You're doing it together, but go back and check out a couple Ray from Friday night. There's some good stuff in there. Alex, going to be my last comment of the day. If I wasn't being deployed, I would be going to some of those games, but training camp will make up for it. 100%. Alex will be covering training camp for Bucs. Oh, excuse me, from Bucs Report. That sweet tea starting to kind of come back on me. I'm going to have to get this out of here before I lose battery. Thank you for your time. I hope you all have a great Sunday. Happy Father's Day. Find your beach. Celebrate that person. Again, I end it the same way I always do. Everyone needs to know someone cares today. Father's Day, 29th, 2022, June 19th. You be the one to reach out and let them know. It goes a long way, my friends. Hope you guys are continuing to enjoy Juneteenth, 100%. Love it. Celebrating Juneteenth, celebrating Pride the entire month of June. I hope you all have a great day. Oh, God, Teresa, I got to get this. Is actually, me says, great show, Ray. Brother, coming from you, I appreciate that because you got some great shows. And Teresa finishes with thanks, Ray. That's my last comment, everybody. Have a great day. DM me if you have anything you want to speak about. Share the show. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time on A Cup of Ray here on Bucs Report. Yeah, I'm just kidding. It's not as funny as the last time I did it, but I was just testing y'all. Have a great day, everyone. Peace.